Welcome to Tiny Game Chronicles episode 35. My name is Marcus, and here with my good friend Michael. Every other week, we discuss games that are quick plays, but epic journeys. It is great to see you today, Michael. How are you doing, my friend?
I am very well. We are snowed in. Winter is hitting us again. I had a long trip to do yesterday. And it was, I don't know, winter wonderland because I needed to do a trip about 200 kilometers east from Cologne. And it looked like a Christmas postcard, if that kind of makes sense, right? So I'm glad I arrived. I'm not one for cold weather, but I'm happy to be here with you, Marcus. How are you?
Not doing too bad. We're the snow. It seems like not only you, but so many of our friends in other parts of Canada, and the United States, have really been hit hard lately. It's just been normal winter for us here in Edmonton. Like,
Exactly.
It's cold, but not a ton of snow, and not even especially cold. Like it's okay. So we're as far as January's go, it's been okay. We had our worst. It was December. December was really bad for us.
Okay, very good. That was your weather update.
That's the weather update. Yes. Okay, Michael, before we get started talking about our game, I do have a question for you. And this actually is inspired by our friends, Kate and Emily over at Known Small Games. They were asking a question over there in their Discord, and I thought it was pretty appropriate for our discussion here today. And they asked, and I'm asking you, who would you choose to be the narrator for your life?
Alfred Molina.
Oh, wow. Okay, you had that almost right on the... I thought we were going to be... Okay, Alfred Molina. Why?
I just find that he has such an interesting, grounded voice. I mean, I could say whoever narrates Cockdoodle, I think is his name, right? The Witcher would be great, right?
Yeah.
Duck Cockle, there you go.
Yeah.
But no, Alfred Molina, just because I really enjoy... the way that he narrates books on Audible. I've just fallen in love with his voice. So he would be on the short list. Would maybe need to think a little bit more.
Of course, yes. I put you on the spot a little bit, for sure.
What about you, Marcus?
So my answer, and I'm sticking with it. This is what came first to mind when I first saw the question over in Kate and Emily's Discord. Ethan Hawke, Michael.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like Ethan Hawke. I really like Ethan Hawke as an actor. I think he seems like a pretty stand-up dude. He's pretty grounded. I feel like his voice might be kind of similar to mine. I feel like he's a little bit older though, maybe a little wiser. I feel like he's a good fit for me.
I think that if I imagine, I think he would put an interesting nuance to your life because I consider him being quite hip.
Yeah.
And kind of looking and hearing about your life out of that hip filter, I think just adds another layer to it. So I think it's interesting. Yeah, I'd listen to it. So
there you go. I love it. Yeah.
Nice one, Marcus. Yeah.
Okay, Michael, before we get into discussing our game today, just wanted to mention our previous episode, Slots and Daggers. Really fun little roguelite RPG experience, Michael.
Yes, I loved it. I think it has staying power. I'm still fascinated about the sound effects that the game has. It's one that I'm not going to uninstall for a while, Marcus.
Yeah. Have you gone back to it since we recorded? A little bit, right?
Once, exactly.
Okay.
Because we can play Arena now, which is great. So there is a reason for me to go back to it. Yeah, and it's if I want to kill a few minutes, it's a perfect game to go to, right?
Yeah. Okay, Michael, let's get into our discussion today about our game, Goodnight Universe. Goodnight Universe released on basically everything, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, and PC on November 11th, 2025. Is developed by Nice Dream, which is a studio formed by a couple of devs, Graham Parks and Oliver Lewin, who worked on Before Your Eyes. And it is published by Skybound Games. The Steam description reads, quote, "You are Isaac, a 6-month-old baby developing mysterious psychic powers. What you want most is to be loved and accepted by your family, but a secretive tech corporation wants you for their own." And as you can imagine, playing as a baby, you're quite limited in your ability to
Mm.
navigate, interact with your environment. The PC version, as we're going to get into in a little bit, features this camera as a controller. If anybody has played Before Your Eyes was a game that was controlled entirely by blinking.
Hmm.
This game takes that concept but expands on it a little bit. So you're controlling, at least the camera control option, you're controlling with using your eyes and
Hmm.
some facial expressions as well. It was received actually quite well by reviewers, sitting at an 82 currently on OpenCritic, primarily being praised for its story, its characters, and its innovative use of the camera. Michael, we start off our discussions by asking ourselves 3 questions. What did you play it on? About how long did it take you to beat? And what are some high level thoughts you have about the game?
Yeah, Marcus, so I'm glad that we had the opportunity to final tackle this game because it has been recommended to us a few times. So it's been on our channel waiting to be played. I played it on both PC and Steam Deck. So PC initially. I finished the game in just under 5 hours, and then I noticed there are some achievements. There aren't that many that were missing. I think I still needed 4. And then yeah, got all the achievements that I needed. So I think my end game was just over 5 hours, 5.5 hours about. Top line thoughts. Goodnight Universe is a psychic playground where the camera is your actual sixth sense. But for me, a little bit of a spoiler, the story forgot at times to take me and move me emotionally, right? I think both of us are I can speak for myself, first of all, kind of mature with regards to what we expect from our stories. And although all the ingredients were there, it just needed something in that script, no, from my side, for me to, I don't know, to be more moved with regards to the story. So you play as a baby, that understands everything, which creates a brilliant gap between what you know and what you can do. And the game's real trick is making you feel powerful and powerless at the same time. So those are my top line thoughts, Marcus. What about you?
Yeah, so I played, as I am inclined to do, Michael. If I can avoid having to use my laptop to play a game, I do. So that when I
Yep.
found out that this was on PlayStation, I was like, okay, well, we can definitely do it.
You don't need a
Um,
mouse.
you don't need a mouse. You can use a controller.
Correct.
Fantastic. But I gotta say, Michael, I think that this was probably the worst way to play and
Yep.
experience this game. We're gonna get into that in
Agreed.
when we start talking about our standouts. Took me about 4.5 hours
Hmm.
to beat. I did get the platinum. I did all the got all the trophies for this one, so I did play through it all. But yeah, the controls on PlayStation, on console, I don't think are do the game a good service, and so I think that it took away from my experience and my experience of basically everything in the
Yep.
game, and that was a little disappointing. We're going to talk through that more in a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, so before we get started on our deep dive discussion, I just wanted to give listeners a brief reminder about how we talk about games on Tiny Game Chronicles. We like to identify 3 things that we think stood out about a game, do a deeper dive discussion on each of those 3 things. And we almost always, we're going to, in this case, avoid spoilers for our games. We don't want to ruin the experience for people who haven't yet played the game. So if you haven't yet played it, this is all going to be spoiler free. So you are safe to listen.
Hmm.
Okay, Michael, let's get into our standout aspects of Goodnight Universe. The first, we've talked about it already a little bit, the controls of this game. That is, I think, the central thing.
Yep.
It probably will be, we're going to spend a decent amount of time talking about the controls of this game. I played it on console, I played it with a controller. I want to hear a little bit more about what your experience was with this camera as controller, concept.
So I actually did exactly the same as you, Marcus, at the beginning. I also used the controller. I decided because I did not have such a great experience with their first game, Before Your Eyes, if you remember, to try and tackle this game without the camera and just with the controller per se. And it was on your insistence after the first hour or so They just said, "Hey, Michael, come on, give it a try, and compare it, right, with regards to what is your experience now without to what is your experience with." And after some humming and hawing, I'm glad. I'm glad that I did, because I was able to continue the story, which was great. I think one of the biggest issues that I had is, would I need to start again, from the beginning? But you can actually, just as you start the game, indicate that you want camera control. You go through a whole bunch of calibration exercise with regards to opening your eyes, closing your eyes, having a neutral face, smiling, frowning, and that is captured per se. And then it gives you an extra, like almost like a sixth sense that you have as you go through the game. So you can't do it without some sort of steering or controller. So there is no real head movements with the major steering of the game per se. So I still needed to use a controller. So I was hoping that if I would look at a word or two, that maybe that would activate the word, but unfortunately it didn't. But there were some navigation aspects where it gave you a clear indication whether it wanted your eyes closed or open to activate the next part of the story. And that was almost like a superpower, that you could have. And what I really appreciated is that it allowed me to experience and perceive the game. For example, there are sequences where you need to close your eyes to go and to hone into a specific frequency what people were thinking other than what they were saying. And I think listening to the voice acting, probably going to go into a little bit of that a little bit later, while listening to the thoughts and comparing the thoughts of the characters to what they were saying, because you were always treated as a baby, was really, really interesting. And it added another depth with regards to how I could experience this game. So I think that was very well done. It felt incredibly personal. And it definitely is a system that rewards curiosity, because it gives you opportunities to go down a rabbit hole and experience, things that you would not automatically know. And experiencing that with closed eyes just adds another level with regards to picking up emotions through the voice acting that these characters have. So before I continue, Marcus, just that. I mean, this is not what you experienced, right?
Not at all. So, like, to specifically, describe my experience with that scenario that you were just describing. So when there were those moments where you would, as a player, have to go into and read the thoughts of your parents or your siblings or whatever, you, with the controller, all you do is I'm holding R2. And then I would have to, rather than obviously moving my head around to kind of like adjust to the right frequency, I'm just moving one of the control sticks around to kind of get the right frequency.
Correct.
What you just described sounds way more engaging and way more, I don't know, relevant and kind of like experiential than I had. Like, it was, frankly, me doing what I had to do was tedious. It was
nonsense.
Suboptimal. Like, totally. It really is not that great. It makes me kind of question, like, a little bit, because the camera control sounds kind of interesting. It's almost like a VR light experience, right?
Correct.
Like,
correct.
This is something we probably should know. It didn't even occur to me to look into whether or not this is a VR compatible game. You'd almost think that it certainly has the potential to be.
Correct.
It didn't even occur to me to look into it until this very moment, because I don't have a VR set. I've never, I don't play games with VR, but it feels like this could actually work much even better than the camera control in a VR situation. But like, I almost wonder why they released the game at all on like PlayStation, on console. I guess I understand, because you want to sell as many units of the game as you can.
Exactly.
But the experience really suffers playing this game on a
Without the
controller.
camera, exactly.
Yeah.
Without a camera, just a controller. And also the fact, we haven't mentioned this yet, right? It's you don't always need earphones, but this is a game where earphones make such a big difference,
Yeah.
especially because you are in the minds of other people, if that makes
Right.
sense, right?
Which I
And
also didn't use.
see,
I didn't play. I don't play games with headphones on.
mm,
I'm finding. I mean, perhaps I'm a little strange in that. I think that that's
mm,
maybe not the norm. But yeah, I just like to sit down on my couch and just you know
yep,
with the TV, and that's how I play games with a controller in my hand. And honestly, that does this game a disservice. I think.
yeah,
Like
I'm totally with you.
I'm not sure
Uh,
that it solves all the game's issues, but it certainly would solve a good chunk of them and wouldn't have been such a clunky experience that I had if and I think like again, I'd be curious to know like what percentage sales they get. Like if they do they get like a lot of sales on did they get like a lot of sales on console? Was it worth it for the sales? Because that experience, I think again, it's really suboptimal playing with a controller on a console.
And I'm not sure whether every PlayStation user, I mean, I know that there are accessories that the PlayStation has with regards to a camera, right? The same as the VR headset. But now, what percentage of
Yeah.
PlayStation players actually have the camera active in the living
Yeah.
room? My wife always, because we have one, but my
Even
wife
if it's
always
I
says,
may not even be compatible with the PlayStation. I don't know. Like
okay,
I
okay,
again, it wasn't something that I looked into closely enough because I don't have that
yeah,
anyways. But
yeah,
like
exactly.
it, yeah, it just it took away so much from the experience for me at least.
I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I know that you had kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like maybe I guess like the parallel experience that both you as a player were having and Isaac as a as the character was having.
hmm Now, the fact is, we're speaking about the aspect of control, right? And let's think of control a little bit further. The fact that I mentioned at the beginning of my top line thoughts that Isaac kind of felt powerful in all the things that he could do with God without going into major spoilers. But also powerless because we have an antagonist. I can say the name; we will meet him soon enough, right? Elliot, that wants to dictate with regards to how Elliot could use his Isaac could use his powers in whatever shape and form. And so for me, it was I don't know like a message um, with regards to uh, tech companies to a certain extent today, when we have kind of real power, thoughts, emotions, we have gadgets at our disposal that empower us to have access and to gain information. It's There is a powerlessness, however, that comes with it when um, the terms with regards to how we can use the power is dictated by people who sit in boardrooms, right? So we have in our tools the greatest tools, right? The greatest social networks. We can talk about AI, but the rules on how these things are used are kind of not done by us, right? And if you think about the antagonist is kind of an embodiment, sorry, Mr. Zuckerberg, right, of Mark Zuckerberg, right?
You don't have to apologize to him. He's doing fine.
Yeah, with regards to the space, how we could use that. And although we are users of the technology that his company provides, or companies like his provide, um they treat us as obviously precious, valuable, but something that is completely manageable. And all that they do is they kind of build system around us. And this is the essence that I got out of the story, right? The aspect of, yes, you have powerful tools at your disposal, but you need to be compliant with regards to how to use it. We're gonna give you the rules, right? So we very
it's
much
not unlike it, and I think this is where you're going with it, but it's not unlike the restrictions that the player is placed upon to interact with this darn game. Yeah,
100% right. So you have all these wonderful tools, but you actually powerless, right, with regards to getting the most out of it, and almost the whatever promises are made with regards to what you can get out of these tools kind of fall flat. But as I said, the rules of engagement are not defined by us, right? So we are just some psychic lab rats, if that kind of makes sense, right? So maybe we need to recognize the power that we have, and maybe the question is, how can we form better lives in a way that we can more quietly influence the choices that we have? If that that's the thing that I get out of it. So that's the critique, Marcus, that I have. I'm not sure how you see it. I see it as a critique against the tech world. I'm not sure how you see it, Marcus.
Well, it's funny. Like, I think I wonder, in terms of, like, again, just kind of zeroing in on the game's controls and how that parallels the experience of the characters in the game. Like, do you think that the devs recognized that there could be this parallel? Because I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. It's not a good commentary, right? Like, you are, I don't know, restricting the player in a way that doesn't always feel great. Like, so why would you want to potentially create a negative, at least at some time, a negative experience for the player, just to kind of like make a point?
I think that's what it is, exactly.
Okay.
It highlights the point, but it does not provide a good answer,
right,
with regards to, okay, and then what is that first step perhaps that we need to do? So I think it makes you aware of the issue, but it doesn't solve it for you, right? And maybe I was expecting a little bit more of an empowering experience, which was not the case.
Right. It does not. This game does not make you feel empowered. It makes you. It feels like it's often. I wouldn't say constantly. I was going to say constantly. Often, kind of putting roadblocks in front of you from being able to interact with it in the way that you feel like you sometimes should be able to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Okay, well, we touched a little bit on narrative. Let's talk a little bit more deeply about narrative with standout item number 2, Michael. This game does something I don't know that I've ever experienced in another video game before. You are seeing you are playing as a baby. So everything is through the eyes of a baby. And this isn't some, like, I don't know, cozy platformer sort of thing where you can play as a baby running around or whatever. You're literally like a first person playing as a baby, and that has some narrative implications, and that are not really experienced all that often in video games, I would say.
Now the fact is here that you're playing, as you mentioned, like the age of a 6 months old, but you have a fully formed inner voice.
Correct.
Right? There is an adult of whatever shape and form. Yeah, we don't need to get into, but there is an adult developed voice inside your head. You are perceiving, listening to the world as an adult. You understand, in brackets, everything that is being said. However, there is a mismatch, right? Because the rest of the world treats you like a baby, if that makes sense, right? So the do-do-da-da.
And all of your actions are that of a baby.
Like exactly. Right? You are also here powerless, right? With regards to reflecting your inner world. And for me, that is perhaps one of the things that the game does pretty well. It reminded me of a book, and I know that there is a movie, Marcus, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. If you remember,
F. Scott Fitzgerald, Michael.
Yes, 1922 in the jazz era. So connecting us to the jazz organ from Slots and Daggers, if you want to link back to that game. And what I found fascinating is, the story of Benjamin Button is not the fact that he experiences the world as someone who kind of grows younger, right, as the story progresses. But it's really about how society treats him on appearance, not realities, and how lonely it can feel when your inner self is completely out of sync with how the world sees you. And for me, this is what the game at least achieves incredibly well, is that disassociation between your inner world and how the outer world perceives you. And this is exactly what Isaac experiences in the game. Goodnight Universe, a baby's body, but an old soul, right, with wisdom, no, with understanding. So the more interesting question out of that exercise, or at least out of that insight, is what happens to a person who understands everything internally, but is physically unable to act on that understanding. And I think here we're going into many social themes and issues that we are that are relevant, in today's world. If you're looking at our health system, etc., etc. So I think that is an interesting avenue to explore, Marcus.
Right.
I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, like as you're talking there, I often bring up my son Miles, right? And Miles he's going to be 5 years old. He's nonverbal and he has autism. And so like I'm thinking about the experience that you're describing, and I wonder how much of that experience that Isaac is what's going on with Miles. Like he
Correct.
has maybe more of an internal dialogue than we realize, and he tries to communicate in various ways, but it's not through traditional language like we do, right?
Correct.
And he gets frustrated like Isaac does. He gets, there are times when, he wants something and we just don't get what he's saying, right? Or what he wants. And you can imagine the frustration, right? You can imagine, and we see that coming back to Goodnight Universe, like we see that kind of play out within the story, and it's an interesting sort of dynamic that they're exploring here through that, a disconnect between what is going on in the head and what the body can demonstrate.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think something that we need to always be made aware of, we often forget because we kind of live so much in our own heads that we sometimes lack the empathy to think of, what the experience could be of someone that is at a different development stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that. So, food for thought, Marcus.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Michael. So standout number 3, I think that this was something that I legitimately appreciated within the game. So it's not going to be the criticisms that we've kind of levied towards the game to this point.
Yeah.
The voice acting is really good in this game, Michael. So, Isaac's voice is narrated by a fairly, prominent actor, Lewis Pullman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he does a fantastic job, but there are other good voice acting performances in this game as well.
Yeah, I think Lewis Pullman, I needed to first of all check who he was because I wasn't that familiar with him. I know Philip Pullman as an author, right? This is not him, right?
No, not different Pullman. Yeah.
Different Pullman. I really like the voice of Isaac just because it gives it that that gravitas, that weight with regards to what it needs to be an introspective, reflecting adult.
Yes.
And I think that through his voice acting, he does that extremely well. So I did not feel lost. I thought that the script that he followed, he embodied that, adult being incredibly well. And I must say, the whole story lives off this good voice acting that the various characters have. I mean, I must say Isaac, obviously because he's central, was perhaps the most endearing. The antagonist Elliot was perhaps the
Less
most
so?
irritating.
Less so? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say perhaps the most irritating.
Yeah.
Did you have any favorites, Marcus, in this
Yeah, well,
one?
I think Isaac, like Lewis Pullman, does a fantastic job. As I
Mm.
said, I think that's definitely the top one. But I really did like the mom character.
Okay.
I think we see some. I know that you're a big fan of character growth throughout
Mm.
the story. I think like we were able to see that in the performance given by the voice actress. I really should have had it pulled up, but I don't have that voice actress. But she was. I thought she did a really great job. I would agree with Elliot. I thought that, and again, part of it, it can be a little hard at times, I think, to separate like the script from the performance, because if the script, I think at times the script in this game wasn't great, but the performances always felt pretty good and pretty strong, right?
Yeah. I mean, I must say that Elliot definitely was not a likable character, and
yeah. So I guess So he got that across. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, whoever acted him, made it sound like Mr. Zuckerberg, right? So
yeah,
I'm
that's
teasing.
right.
I'm teasing.
No, a very unlikable character. You're right.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, Michael. So we unfortunately didn't get any community standouts. We did have some, a bit of discussion. It was more kind of on the spoiler nature. I know, like Eric Dovetail, a former friend of the show, former guest on Tiny Game Chronicles, had left a really kind of thoughtful comment, but
Absolutely.
does contain some spoilers, so we're not going to read it. So we didn't get any other community standouts. But if you do have some standouts, we want to play the game along with us. You can hop into our Discord, and Michael will always do a call for any standouts. You can have your thoughts on the game and kind of things that stood out to you. We can read those on the show.
Yeah, and the games are pretty short, man. There's no, I mean, there's, it's not by accident that we are called, Tiny Game Chronicles, right? So a game below 5 hours. So I think there should be enough time for you to play through it. We play in a 2-week cycle, if that makes sense. And then just leave those comments, those things that move you on the Discord. Yeah, like Eric did. Thank you.
Like Eric did. Okay, Michael. We finish off these discussions by asking ourselves, do we recommend the game? And if so, to whom?
Marcus, this is not such an easy one. So, so narratively, obviously, if you're looking for some narrative depth, right? This game needs a little bit more work with regards to sharpening its script. I don't think that the story is bad. It's just that I think there's nothing unexpected or something that will surprise me. However, what I really liked about this game is it pushes the envelope with regards to how that narrative can be experienced. And I think for that, I would definitely recommend this game. So if you want to have or get involved in some narrative experiments, right, with regards to how we can experience emotional framing differently, right? Like a little bit like what we had Before Your Eyes. I think maybe Before Your Eyes does it a little bit better just because it's a tighter script. But you want to kind of consider other ideas and another energy, with regards to, okay, what happens if you want to tell the story out of a baby's perspective, then this is good. Definitely play it with your camera controls. I don't think that there is another way to experience what this game actually wants to show in any other way. So I think it's a must-have if you want to experience it in that way. So that's where I would say if you're into that, then by all means, Goodbye Universe is a game that you should try. Yeah. Marcus, you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't think I had as many issues with the narrative as you did overall. Like, I think there is a decent story. I think some of maybe the dialogue was what didn't always work for me, but I think like the heart of the story, I think, is actually okay. But I couldn't appreciate it because I played this game on controller, on console, in probably the worst possible way to experience it. So I was so frustrated with the clunky control scheme that the narrative in the moment wasn't hitting for me.
I'm with you.
On reflection afterwards, I kind of like, okay, I can see, I can appreciate a little bit more. But overall, I think like my experience was so bad. So that's to say, if you're going to play this, if we haven't completely turned you off about the game, and I think there is some stuff to like here, like we have mentioned. Definitely play it with the camera controls on your PC, and
or your PlayStation.
It's really the only way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you have camera, right? So
well, if it supports that. But yeah, don't play it on controller. And frankly, to be perfectly honest, Michael, if you're into a type of experience like this, go play it before your eyes. That's a better game, a better story.
That is a definitive,
and it that's what I would recommend. If this sounds even moderately interesting and you haven't played before your eyes, go play that first.
Yep.
And then if you're still kind of keen and want to check out Goodnight Universe, sure, but definitely play before your eyes first. In my opinion, much better game. So that's kind of where we're at.
That's an honest opinion.
Yeah,
that's an honest opinion, Marcus. Yep.
Okay, Michael, that's a wrap for episode 35. A little bit of housekeeping before we wrap things up. We would really, of course, appreciate it if you shared, liked, and subscribed, and left us a 5-star review wherever you happen to be listening. Aside from that, you can follow the show on Blue Sky at Tiny Game Chronicles. You can follow me on Blue Sky at Marcus O'Neill 79. You can also find me on 2 other podcasts that I do. Hype Factor, a fantasy critic podcast that I do with my good friend John. It's a monthly podcast. We talk all things fantasy critic. Very different show than this, but it's a lot of fun. And then our other show, Brothers from Another Mothership. Michael was on our most recent episode where we talked about our games of the year. It was a lot of fun. We like to talk video games, of course, but also argue about video games. And so that's also a monthly show. So if that sounds interesting, feel free to check that one out. Michael, where can people find you?
You can also find me on Blue Sky under Drellish, DRELLESH, as well as on our tiny gaming community on our Discord. So link will be in the show notes. So if you want to join our ever-growing community, and I must say I'm really happy with the quality of people that we have there. There is definitely a non-toxic environment where we talk about tiny games, then please join us.
Yeah. Michael's been hard at work sharing tiny game recommendations in there. So like if you're interested in kind of like some new tiny games that we don't cover on the show or haven't yet covered on the show, you can pop in and get some of those there too.
Yes.
And we have a YouTube channel, Michael. So we are posting our episodes on YouTube, mostly unedited. So you can check us out there. We have some shorts, at least one short per episode too. So subscribe to us there, and we kind of get the show out to a few more eyeballs on YouTube. Okay, Michael, the last thing that we need to do is introduce our next game. So this game was developed by a studio called Magic Rain Studios and published by First Break Labs. It's their first game. In it, you set foot on a magical island and explore a whimsical small open world as you search for your lost kitty, Coco.
Ooh.
And this game, Michael, is named...
Now that's the question. Is it named Isla or is it named Ela? So, Marcus, I think you would say Isla because that's how I is pronounced in that part of the world.
Yeah.
I would say Ela in Europe, right? Because that's how I is pronounced in our part of the world. It's called Ela/Isla, a frosty glide. And for me, Marcus, this is a perfect, cozy winter platformer.
Yeah, I saw it described. I'd known about it for a little while, and I'd seen it described as like a short hike, little Gator game style kind of gameplay. And I was like, I'm kind of in the mood for that right now. Let's do Isla or Ela, a frosty glide next. So I just loaded it up. I played it just through the kind of the tutorial section last night. So far, so good, Michael. So I'm looking forward to diving in over the coming days, and it's gotten good reviews, so I'm quite optimistic.
It's a cozy game. So if you're tired of blood and guts and just want some coziness for a little bit, then come and join us. Playing Isla, a frosty glide.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that's everything for us today, Michael. I will just finish off by saying thank you for listening, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with Isla, a Frosty Glide.
See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.